Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for October 14th. I'm recording this earlier than I normally do, so the sun isn't up, so some of the background looks a little hazy or dark. That's all it is. I'm just doing this earlier than I typically would. First of all, thank you ever so much for all of the lovely Thanksgiving Day wishes that I received from everywhere. I very much appreciate that. And we did have a really lovely Thanksgiving, so thank you for that. For those of you who commented on the pet parade, and we're talking about Crystal, the sort of meowy Siamese. Yeah, you're absolutely right. She is in pain. She is on not only narcotic painkillers, but natural painkillers. She has been told for about 6 months now that she's okay. She can go into the light. We understand. We know she'll come back. She's not budging. She is not budging. So all we can do is wait for her to to either leave on her own or give us a really clear signal that she's done. And frankly, she just hasn't done that yet. And to know Crystal is to know that she's unbelievably stubborn and she's going to do what she's going to do in her own good time on her own good agenda. But yeah, she's hanging in there for right now. Okay, so I thought today I would like to take a look at Scotus because there's a lot going on in there right now. You've got that sort of confirmation hearings going on in the Senate Judiciary Committee right now. So a couple of things that I want to say about her. She has this sort of very soft-spoken, I wouldn't call it meek, but a very reserved projection. And I'm not saying she isn't, but that covers somebody who is very, very, very smart, someone who is very competitive, and someone who is almost ruthlessly ambitious. So part of the calculations, I think, that went into her deciding to, sort of accept the nomination was, okay, you know what, Trump's not going to last long. This is, I'm extremely right of center. And this is really going to be my only shot to get into the Supreme Court. And it really was that simple. If I don't jump now, there's not going to be a chance for me to jump probably in the next decade. So that was, just so you know, that was sort of part of the calculus that went into her deciding to move forward. Now, understand, I only watched bits and parts of the hearings yesterday. I found them just unsettling somehow. So remember, she is literally playing to an audience of one. She does not want to do or say anything that is going to antagonize Trump. Now, I know me and a lot of other readers are saying, it doesn't look like she's going to get confirmed. It just doesn't look like it. Part of the reason that I'm specifically wanting to do this reading today was because I got a download of information last night, and basically what I was told is, listen, even if somehow this confirmation goes through, the energy of the earth as it shifts and changes and moves into those higher vibrations is not going to support that. I call it like dinosaur attitudes, right? Those very antiquated attitudes. And frankly, she has a lot of them, right? I mean, so even if by some like crazy chance this thing goes through, and again, remember what I've said, the pendulum keeps saying she's not going to get through, but it doesn't make any sense to me because Mitch McConnell will have the votes to put her through. But the message I received yesterday was, listen, even if somehow she manages to get through, their collective energy of the right wing, particularly on the Supreme Court, is not sustainable in the higher vibration energies that the earth is shifting to. So what that means is, even if she gets confirmed, and if she does, she's going to be on the court for a really long time, but you know what's going to happen? There's going to be more than one conservative judge that, for whatever reason, ends up leaving the bench. So it's possible that even without stacking the court, which is something that Biden doesn't want to do, you very much could end up in a situation where ultimately the conservatives are not going to be able to rule and control your Supreme Court with the really extreme right-wing ideas. What you're going to see going forward is a lot of, I almost want to say sort of middle of the road judges coming on board who can really, step away from party affiliation. And again, that is something that has become very, very pronounced since Mitch McConnell decided he wasn't going to let Merrick Garner be they weren't even going to hold hearings for him. So, again, this is a strategy that the Republicans have been working on for a decade or more. So I guess the message that I got from Spirit was, listen, don't panic, okay? It's not going to be as sort of dramatic and dangerous as you think it is. So having said that, and remember, she's only answering the questions to please Trump. And that's sad. That really is sad. So let's take a look at Scotus. And I'm not necessarily, I may, who knows what the cards are going to say, but I'm not specifically looking to zero in on her as much as I am looking at the trajectory of your Supreme Court. So here we go. Come on down. I have a question. Okay, let's just give this a couple more shuffles. Here we go. U.S. Supreme Court trajectory, U.S. Supreme Court trajectory, U.S. Supreme Court trajectory. Okay, so it's not surprising that the first card that comes up is talking about literally trying to steal the court, right? Trying to steal the nomination, shoving it down everybody's throat. There is definitely a lot of backroom and underhanded dealing going on in order to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. Okay, so there's a lot of, in some ways, discontent or friction behind the scenes when it comes to what's going on in the court system right now. People are, and I'm talking about politicians. Some of them are getting very, very uncomfortable, literally, with the way things are being manipulated. Now, does that mean that they're going to vote against her or actually stand up against what's going on? No, it doesn't. Not if you're a Republican, you're not going to do that. They view it literally as their legacy. They view it as something that they have worked very, very hard to accomplish, and they are going to continue to push forward to accomplish this goal. And as I said, this thing has been in the works for a decade or more, probably more. So, what you're looking at is a bunch of people who literally, with their last dying breath, are gripping onto the chance to shift the balance of the court. But remember, it's going to be an unbelievably heavy lift because energetically, the court is supposed to be balanced. And you're going to see that as things unfold going forward, that the universe is one way or another going to help and assist the United States to return to a balanced and more fair and equitable court. So a lot of, and listen, I'm not saying, don't be concerned, because you need to be concerned and you need to vote as if you really are concerned, and you need to, connect with your members of parliament, I'm Canadian, right? Your representatives of the House and your senators to make your views known. But understand, it's really at this point going to, certainly if it's a Republican, it's going to kind of fall on deaf ears. But the universe is not deaf. The universe has been striving very hard for a very long time to not, it's just not the United States. They want to balance the entire planet because energetically they want to lift it to a higher vibration. And so even if it's ultimately going to end up being balanced, and when I say ultimately, I don't mean in 5 years or 10 years. I mean very quickly, within probably 12 months. So that's going to be very interesting. And, there's every indication that the Senate is going to shift to Democrat power, which means that the Lindsey Graham's, who I actually don't think is going to be returning to government after this election, is not going to have the kind of pull and that he thinks he has, or that he certainly is able to flaunt right now. So there's a little bit kind of reassurance. The court system is going to hold, and ultimately, the guardrails are going to hold, and they're going to protect that sort of extreme right. Now, it's also going to protect against sort of extreme left, because in this time and space, it is balance that is needed. Just as nobody appreciates kind of the Republicans trying to cram their philosophies down your throats, that holds when another party is in power. Because by and large, it is a sense of balance and fairness and equality, and frankly, jumping into this decade, never mind this century, of ideas and attitudes. So, information is going to come forward, and ultimately you're going to see that one way or the other, it's not going to be the disaster that people think it is. Now, I will tell you, as far as Barrett is concerned, some of her avoidance tactics, if you will, are frankly not sitting well. I mean, when she's asked questions about law, about the Constitution, and she waffles on it, like, what is that? There is nothing in your Constitution that says a president can just delay an election. There's nothing in your Constitution that says after Inauguration Day at noon, the president can just stay in power longer because he wants to. And she was like really ambiguous and nebulous about that. And so that's not going to sit well. In some ways, she was too careful. She didn't really stand any kind of firm ground. But frankly, that is exactly what the agenda is. That is what the playbook is. Okay. And again, remember, she is ruthlessly ambitious. So she's going to do at this point in time, do and say and behave however it is going to get her where she objectively wants to go. Now, there is going to be information that comes out that is going to make this a little bit, dicey and rocky. It's not going to be a smooth confirmation. But whether or not that is going to actually be enough to completely derail the thing, that remains to be seen. And I still stand by what the pendulum says. I just, I'm doing this reading to see if we can get a bit more information on how that could be. But you're going to get a lot of conflicting messages, a lot of, I don't know, different sort of theories. It's going to be very chaotic for the next kind of week or so around the Supreme Court and around this confirmation. Ultimately, I mean, you've got the Five of Pentacles and the Three of Swords. Ultimately, whatever it is that the Republicans were trying to accomplish, they're going to fail at. It is not going to hold. So even if something looks a certain way at any given moment in time, Spirit is trying to reassure you that it's not going to ultimately succeed. They're not going to succeed because their attitudes and their ideas are not in keeping with literally what 70% or 80% of the American public want, in terms of what they want their Supreme Court to behave like, frankly. So it definitely looks like the Republicans are going to be in for some heartache. And I have to tell you, more and more you are going to see people really pushing back against why is this what is taking up the Senate's time, and why are you not passing a stimulus bill? I don't know if any of you saw, I only saw little clips of it, of the debate that went on between Mitch McConnell and Amy McGrath. And when she was talking to him about, his lack, frankly, of any coherent or helpful response to COVID, he literally sat there with this icky, sinister laugh of his going, he didn't have an answer. He couldn't even look somber. He couldn't even look like the stimulus package was remotely important to him. And in truth, it's not. It's not. More and more, you are seeing an attitude coming from the Republicans that basically says, if you are in need in any way, whether that is with your help, whether that is financially, whether that is with rights, your right to vote, your right to love, your right to marry, if you're in need in any way, the Republicans do not feel it is their problem. It is your problem. Because obviously you haven't worked hard enough, or you won't conform enough to play by their rules. And you know what? As that becomes more and more pronounced, you're going to really start seeing some significant pushback. And that is how come all indicators are that this election is not going to go well for the Republicans, and of course, we know it's not going to go well for Trump. So, keep that in mind. I mean, I guess part of what Spirit is trying to tell you today is to not give in to fear-based reactions. Don't panic. Be still and be calm. That ultimately, things work out exactly as they're supposed to. And with the vibrational shift that is going on, the old must make way for the new, because the old attitudes and ideas are coming to an end. And honestly, that whether that is about stripping the planet and not protecting the environment, it doesn't matter what topic. The old ideas of we can take and take and take is really, really coming to an absolute end. Okay. So, their rush to push this through ultimately is going to backfire big time, or bigly, They have sort of wrapped themselves, the Republicans have sort of wrapped themselves in their own rope. And the fact that they are just so blatantly disregarding that which is frankly correct in the light, in keeping even with just people's ideas and attitudes, is not going to serve them. It's not. So it's very important that there be some clarity and understanding about that. Certainly you vote and you make your decisions based on whether, frankly, you approve or not approve of the Republicans' behavior. But ultimately, one way or the other, it's not going to serve them, because those attitudes and ideas that were appropriate in the early 1900s, like sort of all the way back to women being chattels, to they have no control over their body, to if you are not us, you don't belong. All of that kind of stuff is going by the wayside. It's literally being washed away by new ideas, new attitude, new energy. There is a wave coming that is going to wash away the debris of more recent times. Decisions are being made. And so this is the thing. Even though they talked a good talk a year ago about, let the people decide. And now, of course, they've changed their tune. What you're going to see is the people really are going to decide. And what you're going to find is should she get in, those people who have not already voted really are going to make some very hard decisions about how they plan on punishing or rewarding, I guess depending on what side of the fence you sit on, the Republicans' behavior and actions. Listen, they don't have good cards, okay? Nothing. There is nothing here to indicate that this is going to end well for them. And there is nothing here to indicate that the Supreme Court itself is going to come sort of crashing down and really shift hard to the left, because it's simply not going to be tolerated. The thievery, the underhandedness, the backroom deals, all of it is ultimately going to blow up, because the people don't like what's going on. Even Republicans, like something like 55 or 60% of Republicans do not want the Senate's attention to be on the confirmation of another judge. They want their attention to be on getting a stimulus package out. And I'm just going to give you a heads up right now. I have kind of a bad feeling that if Trump does not win, and he's not going to, trying to get a stimulus package through in November or December is going to be brutally, brutally hard, because what you're going to have in office is a bunch of petulant and angry Republicans and an even more petulant and even more angry president. So just a heads up, I know that's horrible news, but if you watch this channel, you know I shoot from the hip. Now, there will be help coming, there will be balance coming, and there will be growth coming, not only to the Supreme Court, but to the country. It's a long time away to ask people who are in desperate need to wait until January 20th of 2021. But every energetic indicator I get says that literally within days. In fact, I suspect it'll be the very first thing he does. on the afternoon of the 20th. Biden is going to just get the whole stimulus package moving. If you think that they don't have that all planned and strategized and figured out, you're wrong, okay? They have an absolute strategy to get this thing back on course and give the people what the people need. But that doesn't, I get it, that doesn't comfort anybody or put, food on their table or a roof over their head. Hopefully, maybe I may be interpreting this a little too harshly, but that's what I'm seeing right now, really, unfortunately. The partnerships, the deals, all of that kind of behavior that has gone on, frankly, for a really long time. Okay, this isn't just about the Republicans. Those behaviors are really, really coming to an end, because what is needed is that balance. It is that fairness for all. It is sort of listening to both sides and initially coming and meeting in the middle. And if anything, the one thing that is going to create significant issue for the people of the United States after Trump leaves office and after Mitch McConnell is no longer in control of the Senate is sort of this sense of, well, listen, we voted you in. Get it done and get it done right now. And, that sort of expectation or even anticipation that everything is just going to be instantaneously reversed, corrected, and made whole again. Making something whole takes time. And I'm not talking about years and decades, but nor is it going to happen in 6 weeks or even 6 months or even a year. Step by step, things will be corrected. They're not going to be stagnant, okay? Things are going to be moving forward, but literally not everything can get done, in the first moment. And so I guess part of what you're also being told is to guard your expectations. Ultimately, things are going to work out, but you have to trust in the kind of step-by-step methodical process of, this is the biggest problem, this is the biggest area, and the two biggest ones are going to be a stimulus package and COVID. Those are the ones that are going to get attacked first, rather forcefully, okay, and strongly, to try to get the equilibrium of the country back in place. But, just be careful that you don't think, especially those people who, maybe were Republicans who have shifted, independents who are kind of so-so, even Bernie supporters. If you get discouraged too quickly, the last 4 years will have meant nothing, because ultimately the voters will have the ability to completely weaken the government going forward by flip-flopping. You didn't get it done fast enough. You didn't keep your promise in the first 7 days. I don't like you. I'm against you. That kind of, and listen, with the volatility in the country right now, that's a really likely scenario, okay? This is your last card for the reading. You've got the Star, okay? Stay strong. Hold on to your hope and your faith and your wishes coming true. And understand that as things unfold, you really are going to get the balance, the equality, the justice that as a country you are striving for, because the last 4 years have taught you that you cannot give people power who you can't vote somebody into office based on one thing, which is exactly what the Republicans have been doing, right? I want abortion abolished. I don't care what else they do. That needs to be gone. When you vote like that, what you do is you really unbalance the scales because you're not at all mindful of all the other things they're saying, right? It's a trick, right? One of my favorite political tricks that you watch happening all the time is you get these politicians that say, listen, we want to put money back in your pocket. We want to give you the right to choose what kind of blank, 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 whatever it is, your healthcare, your education, your whatever it is. And people go, oh, okay, good. That's what I want. And they never stop to read the fine print and figure out the cost of doing that in a really dramatic fashion. You want more money in your wallet? Okay, we can do that. And we can cut all your services. So, you're not going to pay as much as taxes. Oh, well, I guess if you want healthcare, you're going to have to pay for that. That's the trick. That's the game. Don't fall for it. Okay. Oh, and look, I just flipped this one over just to see, and it really literally shows the United States moving themselves away from the really, really troubled waters that you have been in and moving to a place where things are just going to be calmer and more just balanced. Just balanced. Now, I also want to very quickly give you a heads up. Anticipate that over the next couple of weeks, you are going to see and hear more and more outrageous behavior coming out of the White House and coming out of literally the Republican Party because they are gasping their last dying breath. When I step into Trump's energy these days, I literally see him backed into a corner. He's just standing in a corner, and it's almost like a force is pushing him farther and farther kind of into the wall. He's going to push back. He's going to fight. For Trump, this election represents his life. And he's not going to surrender it easily. But again, every indicator indicates a real significant win for the Democrats. Okay. I hope you find this helpful, comforting, insightful. Thank you very, very much to all of my new subscribers, my established ones, the donations. Thank you so much. Information for private readings in the box below. And and just in case you're interested, tomorrow's video on the Insights channel, the Soulprint Insights channel, is going to be about how you can connect more clearly with your angels and the divine energy that surrounds you. So if you're at all interested in that, hop on over to the Insights channel tomorrow. Until next time, take care, be well, and we'll see you really, really soon. Bye-bye.